I don't know. This Walgreens. I'ma mess with it. Hold on, let me see. I'm about to get up out of here. Yo, what's going on? So I'm gonna make everything relevant. Hear me out. In the beginning of this video, you saw a geeked up Corey dude that thought he, caught on to a hustle, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna lie, in the very beginning, being that I worked for Postmates, Postmates was pretty good to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got this thing how they reel you in, like if you make like your first 6 or 7 or 8 deliveries or something like that, they give you an extra $100 to $200 bonus, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh man, if I can make this money every day or every week, you know what I mean? Like that's extra money that I could use, And it's like, you get it, you get into it, and they pay daily, you do your deliveries throughout that, however long you can last. You could do, 3 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours. You can turn the app off and then, go to break for lunch, you know what I'm saying? Make sweet love to your wife. And then, an hour, 2 or 3 later, come back, turn it back on and do, some more deliveries. So I looked at that time when I was working at Postmates as the best kept secret. It wasn't until later down the line, months later, I started figuring out that, gig apps such as Postmates, well, Uber owns Postmates now. So gig apps such as Postmates, Uber Eats, Lyft, Instacart, Grubhub, DoorDash, yeah, some of them may pay more than others, but overall it's just a hustle. You know what I'm saying? You gotta calculate, okay, you're going out there, you're picking up people, or you're delivering food, dropping off food. You're either picking up people and dropping off people, or picking up food and dropping off food. You gotta count everything, you know what I'm saying? How many times I had to get an oil change, you know what I'm saying, per month? You know how many times I had to fill up the gas tank? And then of course, these previous, past years, the gas prices fluctuated. You know what I'm saying? Any and everything that could happen to your car, possibly could happen to your car, guess what? You're held accountable for it. Uber, Postmates, gig apps such as Uber, Postmates, and etc., all they do is just pay you. So I'm not gonna lie, a couple months down the line, you know what I'm saying, I started to catch on to the whole hustle. And I saw that at the end of the day, I was really hustling backwards. Now, true indeed, I will say this, when you got to file 1099 tax form and you get some of that money back, if you keep note, and hold your receipts, your gas receipts, your oil changes, if you got hit by a car, whatever it may be, you know what I'm saying? Some of the things that happen to your car, such as, you getting oil changes, different things like that, that could be written off, when you file your taxes, but at the end of the day, I just, once, I was doing that every year, and I still, would see that, I was in the negative, and things started getting really, really ugly then. It was always a situation where you would have to deal with the merchant. And the merchant are the people that, you go to pick the food up, you know what I'm saying? Such as, let's say McDonald's, they have the order wrong, or the card, they give you a card, like people, well, if you're picking up food, you know what I'm saying, they give you a card, if some of it is prepaid, while others, they give you a card you have to use and swipe it. Sometimes the card may not work, just all types of stupid stuff. Then you got to deal with the customer dropping the food off, and you got to go into these big most of the times this is what I had to do, you know, while living in Atlanta. I work for Postmates living in Atlanta as well as in Charlotte. You go into these big apartment complexes, they don't tell you the gate code to get in, so you gotta call them and go through 5 to 10 minutes of getting in touch with them. Then once you get into the gate, they tell you to make this left, make that right, go up these stairs, go all the way down here, and then it's just a big mess. All to give them their food. And you had rowdy, Rudy customers. You know what I'm saying? You had racist customers. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be real with you. It got to the point where, you know, allegedly, you know, I was eating people's food. And, you know, I would take orders and pick them up and stop at the person's house. And then say that I fulfilled that order and kept it moving, kept their food as well as the money, allegedly. I'm saying this to say that it's not worth it. So what happened to this young man a couple of days in Charlotte? It's so hard to hear. You know what I'm saying? For those that are not aware or, you know, didn't get this story, a young man, I think he's about 23, 24 years old. You know, a couple of days ago, I think it was Tuesday, Monday or something like that, or this past weekend. You know, the weekend, not this weekend, but past weekend. You know, he's on his usual route, picking up people for Uber, and this is like 2-something in the morning. He's been working 12-hour shifts, right? And he's doing all of this to pay for his wedding, right? He's getting married. So he decides that he's going to take one last trip. So he picks up this teenager. Teenager gets in the car. He's acting all, you know, erratic, you know, and he's saying, drive off, drive off. And then a white van pulls in front of the Uber driver, gets out. Guy gets out with a gun. And the Uber driver, you know, panics, and the teenager's telling him, yo, that's my father, he's crazy, just drive past him. So as the Uber driver is driving past the father shoots the car. The Uber driver gets hit in the back twice, right? So he's trying to get away, the Uber driver that is, and get to, you know, the hospital, and he's calling 911. The teenager is trying to stop him from calling 911, and the teenager is telling the Uber driver that you didn't get hit, you just got grazed, that's it. So he's kind of fighting, you know, to stay on the line, 911 calling to get, or 911 rather, calling to get help, and this teenager in the back is trying to stop him, and the Uber driver is slowly but surely fading out, right? So the guy fades out, the Uber driver fades out, and the teenager, that add insult to injury, robs the Uber driver. Now, the positive thing about it is the Uber driver made it out alive, and he's doing okay. You know, of course, it was a traumatic experience, but for the most part, he didn't pass away, he didn't die. You know, they arrested the father and charged him, you know, with, you know, shooting in the car, you know, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the exact charges, but, you know, deadly assault with a deadly weapon, etc., right? And they wound up catching a teenager as well, and they charged him for robbing the Uber driver. And this is what you have to expect whenever you get in the car and do these kind of jobs, these gig apps, such as Uber Eats, Postmates, Lyft, Instacart, etc. Even with, you know, regular delivery men and women, you know, Pizza Hut, Domino's, the list goes on. I've been in certain situations where I dropped off food and I didn't think I was going to make it out alive. I'm not even lying. And this is what made me get my CCW. This is what made me get protection. This is what made me, you know what I'm saying, like, utilize my Second Amendment right to bear arms and defend myself. You know? And I would advise anyone that's into that that type of, I don't want to say career, because I don't even want to call it a career, but just that type of business, to definitely get some type of protection. Because just it was about 4 months ago, a Domino's pizza delivery man got robbed in South Charlotte, you know what I'm saying? Like around Nations Ford Road. It's just ridiculous, man. Here it is, this man that got shot in the back twice and robbed. He was working for Uber, trying to pay off his wedding, or trying to pay for his wedding. And it's crazy because, I was doing it for extra money. Everybody has their different reasons why they, do, DoorDash and Uber Eats and Postmates and stuff like that. For the most part, the people that I've ran into, it's always, I'm making extra money in order to pay for my vacation or to pay for my credit cards, or, I'm going to college, and, of course they closed the student union and I can't use my student card anywhere else. So, I got to work in order to feed myself if I want to eat after 8 or 9 o'clock after the student union is closed. So everybody has their different reasons why they work for these gig apps. But I just think that personally, as well as myself, when I first got into it, I wasn't thinking that I could possibly get robbed or shot or killed or anything like that, but it does happen. Straight up. I could give you many stories of when I was in Atlanta and a Uber driver either got shot and killed, or another scenario where Uber driver shot and killed the passenger. It is a very dangerous job. And it doesn't make a difference what you're handling, whether you're picking up or dropping off a human being or picking up and dropping off food. Straight up. You know how many times I worked for Postmates and they told me to go in this area, and I'm like, okay, that's a good area. But then I followed, so they give you a map. On the app, they give you the map, and it coincides with Google, Maps, and or Waze, whatever one you want to use. And once I open up the app and I accept the order, you know what I'm saying? The app takes you somewhere in the hood, picking up the food and then dropping it off in the hood. So yeah, man, that is a very risky job. And if you don't have a choice at the moment, and this is all that's going for you right now, and this is your bread and butter, and you really have to do it, I would advise you all that are doing it and have to do it to protect yourself. Straight up. That's real talk. And this is part of the reason why I stopped doing it. I haven't done Postmates or Uber Eats or any of those gig apps for, it's going on 3 years now. Straight up. Excuse me, I was really forced to not do it, dealing with this pandemic. Things really, really slowed down to the point where it was really I was getting 1 or 2 orders per day. And I was like, nah, that's okay. It's a waste of my time. But it was a waste of my time even before that because of, how expensive it was just to, do your job. And it makes sense. It made sense back then, but now it makes sense more so than back then to just really get a 9 to 5, because you don't have to invest inside your job when you're working a 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? You get in your car, you drive to the destination where your job is at, you park your car, you go in there, you work 9 to 5, you clock out, get back in your car, and you drive home. But this is different when it comes to these gig apps such as, Postmates, Uber Eats, Uber, Lyft, and all the rest of that stuff. You got to get in your car, drive here, drive there, drive there, drive there, drive there, drive there, drive there, drive there. And as you're driving, you know what I'm saying, you're wasting gas. Now, do they pay you for gas? Yes. But they don't pay. Listen, hear me out. Watch this. So, if let's just say, for example, you accept the order, right? And you're 20 minutes away from the McDonald's. You accepted a McDonald's order, right? You're 20 minutes away from it. Uber Eats, Postmates, Grubhub, DoorDash, none of these places pay you, right, for you to drive to wherever you're at to get to McDonald's. So if it's a 20-minute ride, they're not paying you for that. They're paying you for the time you pick up the food and when you drop it off. And then they have these red areas, right? So say, for example, you drive out of your red area, right? And that's it takes you 20 minutes to get to McDonald's. And then it takes you another 30 minutes to get to the person's house, the destination where you got to drop the food off. So that's 40 minutes that it's going to take you to get back to that red spot. That's 40 minutes worth of gas that you wasted. The red spot is where all of the orders are at. It's where you're getting, most of your orders. And once you go out of that red spot, the chances of you receiving orders on your app are few. So it's all in favor of the gig apps of making money, not so much of yourself. So what you have to depend on, to be real with you, to make some type of profit is really the tips. Because Uber not paying you anything. It's what you have to rely on are the tips from the customers. Most of the time you got to tap dance for that. Yeah, I put the condiments in the bag and you got to do extra shit. You know what I'm saying? When I was doing it, I was very professional. But I could tell you a lot of these gig apps, they're trash. And they don't care about their workers. They don't. I'm more than sure Uber is not going to pay for that man's hospital bill, the one that got shot twice in the back. They're not going to pay him for that. Unless social media makes a big hoopla about it. Then what Uber is going to have to do is what you call damage control. They'll go in and pay some of his bills and things like that. So in order for their company not to look bad. Other than that, to be truthful with you, they're not contractually obligated to do anything for him. Because that's what you have to sign before you become an Uber worker or work for Postmates or Lyft or Instacart. You got to sign a 300-page goddamn contract. And in that contract, it says Uber or Postmates, you fill in the blank. It's not responsible for your car getting broken down, your car being robbed, you getting robbed. That's real talk. I'm telling you, man, it's not worth your life working for these people because they don't care. You don't get any type of, they try to sell you that BS insurance, but man, you don't get no insurance like that. Straight up, you got to buy your insurance. Basically, you're a contract for hire. That's what you are. You know what I'm saying? You're an independent contract for hire. I think that's the way that they put it. So in other words, you're responsible for everything. Everything. I could tell you, man, that I worked there for years, and I ain't gonna say years. I did Uber Eats, not Uber Eats, Postmates. But it's the same thing because Uber owns Postmates. I did Postmates for about 2.5 years. And I started getting a little, I started to change my ways and become a little, allegedly, become mischievous, after I say 8 months in, because I started to see the whole BS behind it, man. I mean, man, Postmates, man, it used to piss me off, man, because so I would accept one order, right? I'll get to the restaurant, and then they'll pile 2 other orders on the first order I accepted that I didn't, and those other 2 orders I didn't even accept. And then I would have to drop those 2 orders off, and all 3 of those orders would be in the same vicinity. So they would pay me for 1 order, but in all actuality, I was delivering and dropping off 3. That's how shiesty a lot of these gig apps are. They'll have you busting your ass for nothing, little to nothing. Straight up. And I mean, man, that's the reason why I allegedly would eat people's food and push the, button that I drop the food off and get paid from Postmates and have food to eat. That was my way of bucking the system. I wanted to say the F-bomb, but I'm trying to curb the cursing, But that's real talk, man. And then you had to deal with the nasty ass customers, man. You know how many racist people I had to deal with? And I'm talking about racist, and then also your own. They were the worst. Bourgeois. I hustled in Atlanta. I did this majority of, of the time that I worked for Postmates was in Atlanta. So I've dealt with some of the worst black people that you could imagine. And racist white people as well. Straight up. That's the reason why I continue to tell you all, like, I got stories for days. And it was ridiculous, and it got to the point after a certain amount of months and I caught on to it, and after, being degraded, dehumanized, from the merchants, the customer, as well as Postmates. Hey man, I ain't gonna lie. I started doing my own thing. Real talk, I started doing my own thing. And when I started doing my own thing, I started to feel a little bit more better about myself because I was making money and I was having a good time eating different expensive food. Wasn't on McDonald's. I didn't play the McDonald's stuff. And back then I was a vegetarian. So I was eating at some of the most expensive places that I couldn't even afford. $200 place. Oh, you calling me? I'm calling you and like, hey, how you doing, sir? Yeah. And why are you not here? Sir, I just got your order. I just don't want to hear. Okay, all right, cool. Click. I'm having, what am I having today? East Indian food. Woo! I was a beast out there, yo. But yeah, man. It's not worth it. It's not worth your life. Much respect to that brother that made it through. What a wedding present. Here you are, you out there, you busting your ass, try to pay for your wedding. And a group of NRGG asses almost put an end to your life. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. Other than that, my name is Langston2092. I want you to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely share this video.